Hello guys, I am back again with yet another Dragonmaid deck profile, but this time it'll be specific to Master Duel. Red Eyes Dark Dragoon is banned, but some things that are banned in TCG are not banned in Master Duel. So we'll play it to our advantage. I did get to Plat 5 with this deck, and my last Dragonmaid video is kind of taking off. I think it's because Dragonmaids are easily accessible. You know, you don't got to worry about the prices, really. You can craft everything. And plus, they're in one of the base packs you can get. It has Parlor, House, and Lorepar. So, to just start us off, one of the cards that is not banned in Master Duel that is banned in TCG is Max C. Now, this card is very good, even against just non-combo decks, because, you know, you play it, and for every time they special summon, you get to draw one. So even if they only special summon one card, you get rid of this one, so -1, to activate the effect. Then you get +1, but it's a different card. So for your whole deck as a whole, if that happens, that makes it like a 39 card deck, because this card just lets you get access to other ones. So if they don't special summon, you're -1, but at least you kind of, hopefully, prevent them from doing stuff that they would have done, which is beneficial. Or they do their full combo and you get to draw like 20 cards. So either way, very good card. I run 3. Then we have the one Nurse Dragonmaid. Now this is mainly a combo extender. You kind of don't want to open it, you know, in your first hand, but it's a good target for Heavenly Spheres. What else? Oh, yeah. Dragonmaid Shio standby effect. So you can special summon her, then special summon someone else, and then you have, say, an extra link material or an extra target to use tidying. So just very, very useful card, but only at 1, because it is searchable and you don't really want to draw into it. Next is the classic Ash Blossom and Joyous Springs. This, if you don't know what it does, basically it negates an effect that lets your opponent activate something from the deck. So add a card from the deck, special summon from deck, or send a card from the deck to graveyard. I only run 2. I suppose you could run 3 and maybe switch out Solemn Judgment or something, or, you know, Dragonmaid Welcome. Because honestly, third Ash would probably be better than some of these cards over here, these 3, which I'll get to later. But, just in this format, I find it that these actually help more than they do in the TCG format. So we'll just go over that later, but I think 2 is fine for this. Now we do have 3 Kitchen Dragonmaid. I suppose you could drop down 2 and then put in a third Ash as well. But Kitchen Dragonmaid is a pretty good starter. Not as good as Parlor or Chamber, but it does let you get any Dragonmaid you want from your deck and then send one from your hand to the graveyard, and it can be the same one you search for, which is good for playing Kitchen, then sending Tinkek over here. That way you can switch them out in the battle phase. But otherwise, you know, let's say you had 2 Kitchen, and you open with 1, use its effect, then you get, oh, I don't know, Tinkek, and then you can send your other Kitchen to the graveyard. Now you have Tinkek in your hand, you can use its effect to gain 2000 attack. And, yeah, you know, it's just situational, but overall, I think it's a good opener. It's not a great combo starter, but it can be. Now, for combo starters, Parlor is what you want to get if you can't get Chamber. Parlor basically lets you send any Dragonmaid card from deck to graveyard, except Parlor Dragonmaid. Now, this is great because you can send the big versions of them. That way you can switch into them during the battle phase. Or you can send Dragonmaid Tidying, which has a graveyard effect. Or, probably the best option if you have a level 5 or higher dragon in your hand, is to send Changeover to graveyard. That way you can use its graveyard effect to add it back to your hand, one Dragonmaid you control as well, and then you can play it to fusion summon into the boss monster, Shio. So overall, just a very good card, great combo starter. Probably going to get negated, but you can work through that, and I'll explain how later. So, and sorry, my chair is a little squeaky, but next is Chamber Dragonmaid. So you can see how much better it is just off rarity. We have a normal here, super rare here. So this is pretty similar to Parlor, except you get to add the Dragonmaid card directly from your deck to your hand, but it is limited to just traps and spells. So not that that's a horrible thing, you just can't add one of the big dragons to your hand, but you can add Hospitality, so you can maybe link off Chamber, then play Hospitality, bring it back, get a link 2, or you can just add Changeover to your hand without having to use its graveyard effect, so you can use it maybe later that turn. Or you could even add, you know, Tidying, so you can have some interaction during your opponent's turn. Now for this next hand trap, it's pretty good. Fantastical Dragon Phantasme. Basically, if your opponent link summons, you get to special summon this, and it's 2400 attack, so it's a decent card. But then you also get to draw however many link monsters they control, then +1, so if they had 1 out, you draw 2. If they had 2 out, you draw 3. And then you get to, right here, it says you shuffle back the amount of cards equal to the link monsters they control. So if they had 2 link monsters out, you activate this, you draw 3, because 2 + 1. Then you pick the one you want and shuffle the other 2 back. And then he stays out on the field, so pretty good card. And if they don't link summon at all, well, it can still be a target for Shio's Fusion, because it's a level 5 or higher dragon. So, just overall, a pretty good card. Next, we have Dragonmaid Ernest. Now, this is mainly so Nurse Dragonmaid can switch into it for battle, and also, if you use Dragonmaid Hospitality to special summon Nurse, you can send this to Graveyard, and you know, just thins out your deck so you can get some better stuff, hopefully. Or if you special summon this, you can send Nurse either way. I pretty much only have it because I run Nurse. It's not a necessity, but it could definitely help so you don't just have Nurse Dragonmaid out in battle phase. You can have this big 2600 beat stick versus probably it's going to be in defense unless you've summoned it. Normal summon, so 500. But yeah, I just like to keep it just in case. Now next is a really great extender for any dragon deck, I think. Especially Dragon Link. So there's no Small World in Master Duel yet. This is a great card for Small World because it matches up the 0 attack for Ash. And then Ash has the same defense as Chamber. And if you reverse that, you start Ash and go into Nocto. Then you go to Parlor. They only share that they're Dragon. So a very good card for Small World, but since that's not in the game, it still has other uses, which is really great. So basically, if you link one, you can summon Striker Dragon, and he is a Dark Attribute Dragon, so due to Noctovision's effect, if a Dark Dragon is special summoned, you can special summon this card from your hand. So you do that. I would recommend Defense Mode, but it doesn't really matter because you're probably going to link 2 anyway, and then you can link 2 into Spheres. I think I have, yeah, I did have 2, okay. So yeah, link into Spheres, and then it says if you use them as link material, you get to draw 1 card. So overall, pretty good card, and then since you use him as link material, he's in your graveyard, that's where his third effect comes in. If they target one of your back row, you can banish this card from your graveyard instead and protect it. So overall, just a very good card, and let's say you have Shio out, and you want to special summon, and you special summon Chamber. Well, she's a Dark type dragon too, so you can special summon Nocto off Chamber special summon as well. And I guess technically if you special summon Nocto somehow, besides with his own effect, because it's once per turn, then you can special summon another, but that's, I've never done that with this deck. I don't even know if it's possible, but, you know. So after Nocto, we have Dragonmaid Tinkek. This is because we run Kitchen, and it's, you know, mainly to switch it out during battle phase, but I found its quick effect to be so useful. I don't know if it's just this format, or if I just haven't really paid attention to it before, but you can quick effect discard it from your hand, and then any Dragonmaid you pick gets 2000 attack. So what I've been doing is having this in my hand, then say using it on Shio, so she's now at 55, and then during battle phase, since it's in the graveyard, because you have to discard it to use its effect, during battle phase, if you have Kitchen, Parlor, or Chamber on the field, it doesn't work with Nurse, but any of these 3, you can then bounce it back to your hand and then summon this from graveyard, and then at the end of battle phase, switch it out again with either Parlor or Kitchen. Doesn't work for Chamber, unfortunately, because she's level 4. And then you have it back in your hand, and you got to use its effect. So I found it to be very good, and I'm using it a lot more than I ever have in TCGs like my locals and stuff, or even friendlies. So yeah, I really like this. You could run 2. Yeah, its effect is once per turn, so it won't be too useful. Honestly, I wouldn't run 2 because it can get kind of bricky. But if you're doing more of a control build, then you can. That way you have more dragons to boost up your field. Because even if you were maxed out, let's say you had Shio, Ernest, Lorpar, and Tinkek, that's only 4. So if you had another one, you could have 5 maybe, but, you know, it's up to you. I only use 1, and it's helped me get to Plat, so... So next we have Lorpar, kind of a similar situation, because we run Parlor. It's a good way to bounce out for the battle phase, and also a good target for Hospitality. Now this one's effect is not a quick effect, so you can't use it on your opponent's turn, unfortunately. But it's still pretty good. You can discard it, and then negate the effects of one monster on the field. So it's good to use these effects, and then bring the monsters back out during the battle phase, because then you just get to use their effects for free, pretty much. And I guess I skipped over Ernest's effect, but hers is a quick effect. You can use it on your opponent's turn. You can get to special summon 1 level 4 or lower Dragonmaid from your hand. Now that can be good for interruption. You could even special summon Nurse, because it's under level 4. Then extend, revive one of your other ones. So it's a pretty good effect too, but it's kind of rare you're going to have this in your hand, I think, because you don't want to draw into it. That's why we only run 1. And it's probably going to be in your graveyard, not because it's effect, but because you summoned Hospitality, or you sent it with Parlor or something. But still, pretty good effect. Next are 2 very old cards, pretty famous, but they're good. That's why they're limited to 1. So we have Raigeki, destroy all monsters your opponent controls. Pretty straightforward, really good card. And then this next one you could probably switch out for something else, but I like it. It's another extender. You know, you can revive in case you link off and then need to revive link 2. Target 1 monster in either graveyard, special summon that monster. So you can do your opponent's too, but I usually just do my own. That way I make sure whatever I'm linking into or summoning, fusion summoning works. So, next to the Dragonmaid spells, we have Dragonmaid Hospitality. Now this was the best spell you could get in TCG. It was like 20 bucks until the reprint happened from the 10s. Now it's like 10, and then the Mega 10 version's like, I don't know, 50 cents to $1. So it's really easy to get into this. I said it in my last video, but if you're playing in real life, all the reprints and gold versions of these cards makes it so affordable to play this deck now. There's no Max C in TCG. You're going to have to replace that with probably 3 Small World, honestly. But back to Dragonmaid Hospitality. It's a very good card. It lets you special summon a Dragonmaid from your hand or graveyard in defense position, but you still get to use its effect if it's one of the small ones. And then you get to send a monster of the same attribute but different level. I'd also say Dragonmaid. A Dragonmaid monster, same attribute, different level, from deck to graveyard. That way you don't draw into it, and you can switch out with it in the battle phase. So, very good card. So let's say link off into Striker Dragon, and you have no other way to get a link 2. Well, then you use Hospitality, special summon Parlor back, then you get to send Lorpar from deck to hand, or deck to graveyard, my bad. So now you won't draw into it, your deck is thinner so you can draw into better cards, and you now have Parlor back as well as Striker, you can link 2. There's a lot of different interactions you can get, but overall it's just a very good card. So next, we have Dragonmaid Changeover. Now this is the fusion spell, but you might notice we're only running 1. That is because it is searchable and recyclable. So not only can you search for it with the effects of Parlor or Chamber, so Parlor here you can send it to Graveyard, Chamber you can add straight to your hand, and if you send it to Graveyard you can add it itself back to your hand too, as long as you control a Dragonmaid. So very good card. That's how it's recyclable. You can get it from Graveyard. Once per turn, though. And then, it's searchable just because it has Dragonmaid in the name. but it's not searchable by things that, like, say, search for a polymerization spell, because it doesn't have poly or anything, it just says changeover. So the main searchability is from the Dragonmaid part. But basically this lets you fusion summon a dragon monster, which would be House. I'd personally never go into House. If I can't go into Shio, I go into Spheres. I never fusion summon into House. But you want to use Changeover to go into Shio. It's your boss monster, it's extremely good, and, you know, it's got strong stats, great effects, etc. So, overall, you're going to want to run at least one, obviously, so you can fusion summon. I wouldn't run Poly over this. I guess you could if you're doing a different build, but for this kind of pure form, I would only run one. Or you could run two, if you know who you're going against. Like, they banish cards a lot. Like, if you're going against a hero player that plays Darklaw, and they banish your changeover, well, then you can't fusion summon at all, and you're kind of stuck. So, I would run two in that case. But, for now, one is fine for me. I was running two for a while, but I switched it out for another Maxi, I think. Next, we have Lightning Storm. This is a very powerful card. It's actually in one of the little bundles you can buy, and you get a ton of gems for free, so not too hard to get, or you can craft it. The crafting system is very helpful in this game. It's way easier to get cards than in real life, because Forbidden Droplet's $90 in real life, and to have three, that's like, what, 260, something like that, so nearly $300. But in here, I got it for free through the crafting system, so very useful. But Lightning Storm, it basically is like Raigeki, except it only attacks attack position monsters. And you have to control no cards to activate this. So it's a good card for going second or you got board wiped. But destroy all attack position monsters, or, not both, it's or, destroy all spells and traps your opponent controls. So either one you pick, very strong. If you do back row, it'll force them to, you know, activate everything right there unless they just want to lose it. Or if you do their monsters, they have to activate their monster effects to try and negate it, or just lose all their attack position monsters. If they have a bunch of defense position ones, it won't destroy those, unfortunately, like Raigeki will, but still, very powerful card. Now, this next card, you can honestly leave out. I run it just because I found it in this format. I've been getting 2 or more Dragonmaids out consistently, so it gives them all 100 attack and defense for each Dragonmaid you control, which I usually have around 3. But the main part is if you control 2 or more, you get to target one Dragonmaid card in your graveyard and add it back to your hand. So, it can be powerful. It's more of a control build card, but I think this is kind of like a mid-range build, in my opinion. But it's still pretty good. You don't need to run it. I don't run it in real life just because the format's kind of different. You know, I probably have this. And, of course, the Maxis wouldn't be here. But there's a small world. So I would get rid of this and maybe Raigeki and Monster Reborn to get the Dragoon package, because you need, you know, Dark Magician, Dragoon, and then the Red Eyes Fusion. But since I can't really benefit from those, I switched it out with Dragonmaid Welcome, and I found it to be pretty useful. Not something you want to open with, but it is searchable, so that's why we only run one. You can get it with Chamber or Parlor. Actually not Parlor, because it'll send to Graveyard, but for Chamber, it's a great target if you already have a Hospitality and a Tidying. So, pretty decent card. Next is Forbidden Droplet. Now, I just said it was $90, so it's gotta be good, right? And that's because it is. You have to send a card to activate. That's usually a pretty small price to pay. But it negates a monster's effect and halves their attack. So you can use this during damage calculation where they can't, you know, back up from declaring. Because I've already declared it's damage calculation, you can't replay. Then you use this to half their attack, you can destroy their monster. Or you can simply use it to negate that monster's effects if it's really hindering. And depending on what you send, if it's a monster, they can't react to it with a monster effect. If you send a spell, they can't react to it with a spell effect. So, You know, you could use all three, I guess, if they have 3 monsters you want to negate, or if you just want to make it unstoppable. But I usually just use 1. It usually doesn't matter, because they can't really respond to it anyway, but it's important to keep that in mind. Next, we have another common hand trap, infinite impermanence, and you'll notice all these hand traps, like Maxi, Ash Blossom, Lightning Storm, Raigeki, Droplet. They are ultra rare. And that's just because they're so good that they, I guess, want to make them harder to get, you know, because they're extremely powerful. They have to make them ultra rare, or else everyone would have 3 of everything, which I guess isn't bad. It would make it a little more fair, but, you know, they're ultra rare for a reason. Infinite Impermanence lets you target 1 face-up monster and negate its effects. If you have no cards in your hand, you can activate it from your hand. It's good for going it's good for going second, because you can activate it, because you will control no cards. But it's also good for going first, because you can set it, and if you set it on your board, then activate it next turn, whatever column you were activating it in. So let's say here's where it was set, here's a monster, opponent's monster, and their spell. If you activate it here, and it was set, you will negate this spell for that whole turn. And even if there's nothing there, if they put something there and forget about the line, then it'll get negated anyway. And I've had people surrender off that happening at least twice. So, very important to keep that in mind, especially if you're going against it, keep that in mind. But it's just a very good card. Next, we have Dragonmaid Tidying. This lets you target 1 dragon monster you control, so it doesn't have to be a Dragonmaid, and 1 card your opponent controls. It could be a spell, trap, or monster, and return both of them to the hand. Now this is great because it kind of forces out effects, or if they try to remove your back row, you can chain it and activate it anyway. If they are about to remove your Dragonmaid with an effect, you can activate it, return it to your hand instead, and then bounce one of theirs back. It's just a very versatile and really good trap card. Now, it does have a graveyard effect. So if it's in your graveyard, you can banish it, and since it's a trap card, you can do this on your opponent's turn too. You can banish it from your graveyard and then special summon a Dragonmaid. It has to be in defense position, but if you do one of these, you can still activate their effects if you haven't used it that turn, which is great if you use it on your opponent's turn. And it does unfortunately go back to your hand during the end phase, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, it's just a free effect or a free body to kind of shield you or something. Or if you use it to summon Nurse, and then Nurse special summons something else, only Nurse will go back to your hand. Then you can play her again next turn after you maybe link off the one you used. Just very versatile, very good card. Next is Solemn Judgment. This is a pretty popular card. I only run 1. I don't even really like it because it halves your life points. I might change it up with something, but, you know, it's gotten me to plat. It saved me a few times. But basically, you get rid of half of your life points to activate, and you get to negate it if they special summon a monster, or activate a spell or a trap. So it's very versatile, but it has a pretty high cost, especially if you're at 8,000. Then you go down to 4, but let's say you're at like 1,200. You only lose 600, so it's not that bad, because if you're that low, you're probably in a tough position anyway. But, yeah, very versatile, just like a lot of the other cards. It's got some great interactions, and it can protect you. Lastly, for the main deck, we have Dragonmaid Downtime. Now, I only run 1, because it's honestly not amazing. You could even switch it out for another Solemn if you'd like. But I do like it because if you do activate it, you can return a Dragonmaid to your hand, and then, so it's good if it's about to get attacked or destroyed. And if you return to the hand, you can search for any Dragonmaid card you want, except for another Downtime, but you only run 1 anyway. Or, you can return 1 spell or trap your opponent controls to their hand. Now, you don't want to do a spell on their turn, because they can just put it right back down. But a trap would be good. Or like a continuous trap, that would be good as well. But it's good to also activate it on your turn, that way you know they can't really just put it right back down. I've made that mistake in real life a few months ago, and I've just kind of learned to, you know, not do that ever since. So, that's it for the main deck. Now we'll move on to the extra deck. House Dragonmaid. This is necessary if you want to run Shio, because to use her negate, you have to be able to summon House in her place. So if your opponent steals your Shio, they can't use her negate because, 99% of the time they won't have a House Dragonmaid in their extra deck. So I'll actually go over Shio first, her effects, because it will happen before House. And they actually kind of complement each other. So basically, you want to fusion summon Shio. That should be your main goal, because she's really just the boss monster. So you fusion summon Shio with a Dragonmaid and a level 5 or higher dragon. So you can use this as the Dragonmaid, and then use Nocto as level 5 or higher dragon. Or you can use, any Dragonmaid really, and then one of these is level 5 or higher. So any mix and match, you can summon her, and she has an Omni Negate that also destroys the card. So if they activate any card, a monster effect, a spell, a trap, you can chain, negate it, and destroy that card. So it's very powerful. And then if you do destroy that, not even if you do, it says after that, return this to the extra deck so it doesn't go to the graveyard after you negate, and then you get to special summon House Dragonmaid in her place. So House Dragonmaid is also good because, though she has 500 less attack points, you're mainly going to use Shio's effect in main phase 1, and then during battle phase you'll have House, and then whenever you switch out your Dragonmaids, you're adding a dragon monster back to your hand, right here. Dragon monster returns to your hand. You can pop one monster your opponent controls. And it's not once per turn. So if you return Parlor and Kitchen and summon Tinkek and Lorpar, you get to pop 2 of their monsters. It's a very good effect. And then both of them have standby effects. Shio's is you get to special summon any level 9 or lower Dragonmaid monster from your hand or graveyard. So if your House Dragonmaid died, she's in your graveyard, you can special summon her back, or any Dragonmaid in your hand or graveyard. House Dragonmaid has a similar graveyard effect to where you have to target another Dragonmaid you control, and special summon one that is a level higher or lower. So if you have House Dragonmaid out and Parlor, well, you could target Parlor and then special summon Chamber if she's in your hand because she's 1 higher, or Nurse because she's 1 lower. And if you had Chamber, you could target Parlor or Kitchen because they're both 1 lower, and etc. like that. So that's pretty much it. They're both really strong, very good cards. Usually when I get these out, my opponent surrenders. It's now this might be a little overconfident, but I feel like it's a weaker Dragoon. Just because it has the negate, it has a lot of options you can do. It's obviously not as strong as Dragoon, because Dragoon gets a power amp, he gets 2 pops per turn, he gets the negate, but this is a really good alternative now that Dragoon's gone. Next we have Striker Dragon. I run 2 Striker Dragon and not Guard Dragon Pisty, because Pisty does lock you out of, or he locks you into only Dragon monsters, which isn't horrible, but it means you can't go into Nightmare Unicorn or Phoenix, because they're both fiends. So I only run Striker because he doesn't have that, restriction. And it's just a really great Link 1, and he happens to be a Dark. So if you use Chamber, and she gets negated, and then you Link 1 into Striker, well then, special summon Nocto from your hand, because it was a Dark that got special summon, and then you'll have 2. Then you can link into Heavenly Spheres. So it's pretty versatile, and you can also, link into this, and then use Hospitality to special summon what you use to link for it, which, let's say Chamber, special summon Chamber back, then you have Link 2 to go into Phoenix or Spheres. Now, Spheres is a very, very good card. It has 0 attack, but don't let that fool you. It's actually kind of bait for the opponent. So basically, you can only activate its effect during your opponent's turn. But during their turn, if this card is in your action monster zone, which it should be, because you have to link into the extra monster zone unless you co-link, but this one only points left, and that's the only link one we run. But I guess there's a situation where you could summon it and it's not there, but I wouldn't recommend it, because if it is in your extra monster zone, you can quick effect tribute a dragon you can control, and if you pick this one to tribute, you can tribute itself. Then, yeah, you can tribute itself, and then bounce one card back to the owner's hand, and it doesn't target. So, you know, if Dragoon was in this game, this could bounce back Dragoon, because it doesn't target for one, and it doesn't destroy, it returns to hand. Very powerful card. It can get rid of a lot of cards that say can't be destroyed by card effect, because it doesn't destroy, and it doesn't target. So it's very strong, very useful, and if you tribute itself, you can special summon from your deck. So that's one of the main reasons we run Nurse, so we can use this to tribute, bounce back, and then special summon Nurse. Then Nurse can special summon any other level 4 or lower Dragonmaid you have in your graveyard. Very powerful, very strong. We're getting kind of to the end here. We have Nightmare Phoenix. This is a good link too. I think it gets rid of a spell card. Yeah, you have to discard one, then target one spell or trap your opponent controls and destroy it. Usually it won't be co-linked, but if it was, you can draw a card too. It's pretty good. I mainly use it when I've run out of spheres. If the game takes that long, I might want to boost it up to 3, but I'd have to get some more ultra rare materials. But yeah, it's pretty good. And then you can use that to help you go into Nightmare Unicorn. And Nightmare Unicorn is mainly here just so you can go into Access Code, and he'll be really strong. But basically, you discard one card, and then target a card on the field, and shuffle it into the deck. So this is good if they have a really good, like, extra deck monster, you can just shuffle it back in. Then you want to use those to go into one of these two. I prefer Access Code, just because he's really strong, you can't chain effects to him, and then whatever you use to summon him, so he's only at 23, and I mean, Shio's stronger than that, but then you can select one of your materials used for him, so if you use Nightmare Unicorn, he's a link 3, he will get 3,000 attack, so that'll be 53, which is way stronger than Shio. Or if you only had Spheres or Phoenix, he will get 2,000, which is still 43, still pretty good, but not as powerful. And then, let's say you went into Spheres earlier, and you used it, and then you went into, you know, Access Code. Well, you should have a Striker and Spheres in your graveyard. You can use those for his other effect to banish them from your graveyard, because they're both useless in your graveyard. And then you get to, I think, pop one of their cards. Banish one link monster from your field or graveyard. Destroy one card your opponent controls. Yeah, so it's really good. You can't use monsters with the same attribute, but this one's dark, and Seals is light. Phoenix is fire. Unicorn is dark as well as Striker, so those couldn't work together, but that's still 3 you could use, so. Then lastly, we have Boral Sword Dragon. He's a pretty strong monster you can link into if you're kind of at a last resort, like your changeover spell got banished, so you have to link and to get a good monster. But he's pretty strong. You can make one attack position monster defense, and then make a second attack that turn. And your opponent cannot chain effects to this effect's activation. And once per turn, you can declare attack on a face-up monster, and this card, Boral Sword, gains attack equal to half that monster's current attack. And it halves the other one. So it basically steals attack. It's pretty strong, but I think Access Code is just a little bit stronger. So I run both. It's situational. It looks like I have 2 more spots in my extra deck. I might add simply a 3rd Striker and then a 3rd Spheres. But you can do whatever you want. This is just what I use to get to Platinum. I just play tested against some of my friends. I did pretty good, but that's because for Live Twins, Trouble Sunny isn't in the game. And for my other friend, the Hero Player, DPE isn't in the game. So a lot of really good cards that came with Burst of Destiny, such as Small World, are unfortunately not in Master Duel yet, but I think they'll get added soon, hopefully with within the next month or two. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I thought I'd do a quick Master Duel video. I hope this helped. I guess I will do a test game real quick just to show some combos. So I did add a second sphere, so I'm gonna save. Alright guys, I took a quick break to let my throat rest. I was talking a long time before I started this video. But I'm gonna quickly show a solo game, so I can just show, you know, a quick combo, what this deck's capable of. I'm gonna go first, we'll see what we get, and I'll show you how to work with, I guess, whatever you get. So this is a pretty good hand. We're gonna start with Chamber and use her effect, and probably get Changeover so we can fusion summon. That was asking if we wanted to chain the plus 2k damage amplifier. So, now let's say that we're playing online and they negated Chamber's effect. What we could do is special summon into Striker Dragon, and since it is a dark attribute dragon, we would get to special summon Nocto for free, and then go into either Phoenix, but probably more beneficial Spears. But since it didn't get negated, because, I mean, it's just a bot, it's probably using a crappy deck, we were able to get the effect off, get Changeover. So then we cancel the special summon, we will use Changeover, and then we will fusion summon using Chamber Dragonmaid. Or, I guess we don't even have to use that, it's just a Dragonmaid, and then a level 5 or higher dragon. So we could technically use both of these higher level dragons, which I think is what we'll do, and they can both be in the graveyard, and then we can bounce them back with Chamber and add Chamber back to our hand. So pretty decent first turn, and we also have the best trap card to set, and you have to return one dragon monster you control to your hand, but since we have Chamber out, that'll be pretty easy. So I'm gonna go ahead and pass turn, see what the bot does. I could negate with Shio, but this is the standby effect, where you get to special summon. Now I'm thinking I should use Chamber after all, because we won't get an effect off of this. But it should be fine either way, because now we can have both of the big dragons out. So if they don't do too well, we can get a OTK next turn. So I think this lets him copy my attack. Yeah, attack and defense. So if he's at 35... he will end up killing this one. But I think I will use Tidying upon battle declaration. Let's see what this one does. Oh, that's fine, that's fine. So he's gonna go for Shio. And then I will bounce back a card with Tidying. It also would have been good to actually negate one of these two, and you have House Dragonmaid, and then whenever you bounce back Chamber to special summon Ernest, you would have got to pop one. But here's where I'm going to activate Tidying. Not super optimal gameplay-wise what I'm doing, but I'm just trying to show off what a lot of them do. So I will actually bounce back Tinkek, because she has a quick effect that will give plus 2k. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And so there's two things I could do. I could return the spell, and he'll be at 35. Then I think during damage calculation, since it's a quick effect that manipulates attack, I could use this, and he would take 2k damage. But I'm just going to bounce back the actual monster, because it'll get rid of both of them, and it'll just be more beneficial to me. So, here we go. Standby effect again. Now I get to summon Chamber. And we got Dragonmaid Downtime, the continuous trap card, which is, it can be good. So we get to save our normal summon since we're special summoning Chamber now. I think I will get Hospitality. And also, since we special summoned a Dark Dragon, we could have got Noctovision out for free. But I kind of want to save that, because if you just get all your monsters out, you know, next turn he could have Raigeki, and then I would lose my Noctovision. And I kind of like to use it as a safety net in case it gets negated, That way I can link 2 into spheres. So, honestly, we might be able to just end it here. Let me go ahead and... So here's the quick little interaction I like with its quick effect. So I'm going to boost up Shio, and it gets sent to the graveyard. And then I'm going to enter battle. I will bounce back Chamber to bring back out Tinkak. So we got to use her effect, and she still comes out, and her effect gave Shio a plus 2k. So we just win here. Obviously this was a little easier than a real game, because it was a bot, but hopefully this helped you understand what some of the cards do. I didn't even get to use any hand traps. That probably wouldn't have mattered anyway. I guess I could have impermed his copycat or something. But yeah, overall, I just love this deck. The art's really cool. The archetype is fun to me. You can play it control, combo, mid-range. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's pretty much it for this video. If you guys want to follow me, here's my code, and we can do some test duels if you'd like. I'm always down to play with people. It's really fun. I'll probably just end up playing more ranked. As you can see, I don't play a lot of the solo based on how far I was. But yeah, this was a fun video. I hope you learned some stuff. And I am also doing a giveaway for a Steam, PlayStation, or Xbox $10 code to help you get some gems, get some more packs. I mean, you don't have to use it on Yu-Gi-Oh!, but that's what it's for. If the mobile port comes out before then, I will also do Google Play and iTunes, but it ends on the 31st, so just leave a comment saying what your favorite Dragonmaid is, and you don't have to subscribe, you don't have to like, just leave a comment. Yeah, I just want to give everyone a chance to try and get more cards in the game, have fun in Yu-Gi-Oh! And I just hope this, game does well, more people get into it, it will be a lot more fun. I love Yu-Gi-Oh! So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and have a great rest of your day.